slow start. My numbers, Brock, I think will tell you what I think the issue is. The Mariners are, in the league as of last night, 27th in hits, 28th in doubles, 25th in home runs, 29th in slugging. My opinion on what's wrong? Power. Yes, they're not getting enough hits, but they're not hitting for any juice. They're not hitting for any power. And in today's game, you have to do that. Julio, 0 home runs. Garver, 0 home runs. Raley, 0 home runs. Ty France, 0 home runs. Those 4 guys together have 0 home runs so far on the year. And Raley's not played every day. I'm not necessarily crushing him for it, but he's got to run into some. That's part of why he's on this roster. And Julio and Garver, those guys have to hit home runs in order to for this team to function the way it's supposed to function. So you want to know what I think is the problem? It's that. I know everyone was excited about the emphasis on contact. I know everybody was excited that the strikeouts were supposed to be cut down. Obviously, that has not happened so far. But I never agreed with that. I never fully got it. You got to hit home runs to win in the modern game of baseball. You have to.
You do.
The pitching is too freaking good, night in, night out. The Mariners pitching is great. Guess what? So is almost everybody else you're going to play. You've got to find ways to beat the guys that are great. And the best way to do that, in my view, is not to sit around hoping you're going to string together 6 hits in an inning. The best opportunity you have is to wait for a mistake and punish it and put it in the stands. And they have not gotten that from some of the guys that they expected from. And they don't have enough guys on this team, in my view, who put the ball out of the ballpark consistently enough for their offense to function the way I would want it to.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. And to your point, Salk, maybe it's just because it's early, right? And arms haven't gone down and you haven't seen the war of attrition that you inevitably see over all of baseball, where you get, I think league average last year was like 13 starters over the course of 160 some games. Obviously, some of those are openers and bullpen days and everything else. But right now, this first month out of the gate, you kind of get everybody's best shot.
Right.
And what else strikes me, like one of the biggest differences between when we started this thing 15 years ago to today is back in the day, you were like, oh, get to that bullpen.
Yeah.
Just get to that bullpen.
Not anymore.
And now you get to the bullpen, and it feels like every team has got at least 3 dudes that are filthy. Filthy. And you're almost like, no, don't get to the bullpen. Like, do some damage here, because some of these guys, now, not again, it's early and in April when everybody's got all of their arms.
Yeah.
It probably feels like that even more than it certainly
But
will.
I would say over the course of a series, Brock, you do still need to get to the bullpen and make them use up some of those guys.
Those
on
top
night
3
one.
bullpen
Right.
guys, yes. So you
that
can
they're
get
maybe
to
not
5 and
available
6
on night
and
2
7.
or 3
Yes.
because
Yes.
most teams are still not 26 deep or 13 deep when it comes to pitching. So I think a lot of that stuff, well, you're right. It has changed. Clearly, the bullpen is no longer a collection of guys who just didn't make it.
Correct.
The guys at the end are still hanging on. They're still hanging on for dear life. And if you can get a team, keep a game close, take enough walks, drive up the pitch count, force them to use as many guys as they can, eventually you're going to find the guy who makes 1 or 2 mistakes.
Yes.
And then you got to hit home runs when you have that opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
So I've never been fully comfortable with this strategy.
But you say that, but strategy-wise, like Mitch Garver's supposed to be a 25 home run guy.
Yep.
Polanco's it's not like they brought in lightweights all across the board.
No.
Mitch Garver's supposed to be that. Julio's supposed to be a 30 to 40 home run guy. Ty France is, supposed to develop a swing change and been more efficient and add a little bit more pop and be a 15 to 20 home run guy. So it's not like they brought in Willie McGee and Vince Coleman all over the board.
True.
I mean, Luke Raley hit 19 bombs. He's supposed to be a play every day, or if he were to play every day, could be a 15 to 20 home run guy. So you should be getting some of that. Polanco was a 30 home run guy, and he's given you a couple nice jolts here early on and is on pace to hit over 20. So it's, they just tried to bring in a little more contact, but I wouldn't say that was totally at the cost of some of the power, because those guys in Julio and in Garver are supposed to be your power guys. And they're sitting on goose eggs in the home run column right now. That's hard to absorb.
Well, the goose eggs are a challenge. I mean, there's no doubt. And so I started off the show by saying that's been maybe the most frustrating part of this whole thing is every sort of attempt to figure out what it is that's really going on. it ends up kind of being foiled by, but the people aren't doing what it is they were brought in to do. Right? Yeah, you're right. Brock, you just made some good points. I'm frustrated because I feel like they traded a little bit of power for contact.
Mm-hmm.
But the guys who they brought in to make contact aren't making contact, and the guys who are supposed to still have power aren't hitting for any power.
Yep.
How do you judge the decision making when the guys just aren't living up to anything close to what the expected level is supposed to be?